We're honoured to welcome our next guest, Mary Inman, a US whistleblowing lawyer who will join us via video. Mary is a partner at Whistleblower Partners and has 30 years' experience representing whistleblowers in the US. She's also represented international whistleblowers seeking to expose misconduct overseas with a nexus with the US and helps them bring claims to foreign regulators. Please welcome Mary Inman for her speech, Why Whistleblower Rewards Work, Lessons from North America.
Hello, my name is Mary Inman. I'm a partner at the law firm of Whistleblower Partners in San Francisco, California. Excited to be talking to you all today at Transparency Summit 24 about American-style whistleblower reward programs. Let me begin by sharing my slides and walking you through. So I'd like to talk to you today about why it is that we have in the United States become enamored with whistleblower reward programs, why we've seen an increasing rise in the number of programs that we have in the United States, and some of the lessons that we've learned. So what is a whistleblower reward program? Well, in the United States, in addition to providing whistleblowers with protections against retaliation and the things that often happen to whistleblowers and the risks they undertake for speaking out, which often involves career blacklisting and psychosocial harms, among other things. In the United States, we add as an additional incentive to come forward the payment of a financial incentive if the U.S. government agency soliciting that information actually used it to impose a fine. So just like it says, whistleblowers who bring useful information can receive a reward, which is typically a percentage of any fine that the agency who used the information imposed. So I'm going to walk you through really quickly 7 of the main whistleblower reward programs we have in the United States on the federal level. I'll speak to you quickly about some state and local level programs that we have, but first with the main one. So moving really quickly, I'm starting left to right, taking you chronologically in time through the original programs and then the expansion of this concept to go to different agencies. So really in 1863, we adopted, and the Justice Department administers a program under a law called the False Claims Act, which allows whistleblowers to file lawsuits in the name of the government when they have information that federal taxpayer dollars are being misappropriated. In 1986, that statute was amended and sort of made more effective, and so that's really in some ways how we track the statistics about the success of the program. But starting in 1986 to present, there's been enormous success with whistleblowers helping the Justice Department prosecute major defense contractors, healthcare companies who are cheating our Medicare program or selling defective goods to the Defense Department. So it was really the success of the DOJ's False Claims Act that got the IRS to decide that they also wanted to leverage whistleblowers as an effective tool to allowing them to find out more information, allow them successfully prosecute and go after tax evaders. So in 2006, the IRS started a tip program where whistleblowers could bring confidentially tips to the IRS about taxpayers who were avoiding or evading their tax obligations. That was the IRS program. And then in the wake of the financial crisis, in 2008, under the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act, Congress gave both the SEC, our securities regulator, and the CFTC, our commodities regulator, a statute with creating a whistleblower office and the payment of of rewards to whistleblowers providing tips that were helpful to the program. The SEC, in addition to having letting whistleblowers help with securities law violations, also is responsible for enforcing the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, so also helps whistleblowers can bring information about bribery of foreign government officials. So moving right along, in 2015, the Transportation Department decided that they also wanted to um, unleash the power of whistleblowers. And so this is the first program, unlike other programs, where it's really aimed at whistleblowers giving information to protect the public in the instances of safety problems, whereas a lot of the previous programs all related to financial wrongdoing. This is significant that it is there to deal with public safety. So whistleblowers with information about safety defects in vehicles entering the U.S. market can bring information, and if it prompts the DOT to impose a fine, they get a percentage. And then getting closer to current day in 2021, our Treasury Department, which is in charge of enforcing our anti-money laundering laws, allowed whistleblowers to bring information, receive tips for information about violations of our U.S. Bank Secrecy Act, which is our primary anti-money laundering law. And then following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Congress also expanded the program to let whistleblowers bring information about violations of sanctions laws and to receive rewards if that information was helpful to the Treasury in imposing sanctions and fines. And then bringing us up to even present day, and this year, the Justice Department itself adopted its own TIP program. Remember, on the previous slide, we talked about the Justice Department having the False Claims Act as a tool, but that only relates to programs where taxpayer dollars have been misappropriated, and that allows whistleblowers to bring cases in the name of the government. Here, the new program for DOJ is a TIP program, and it allows whistleblowers to bring information about corporate and financial misconduct. So as you can see, we have lots of whistleblower reward programs at the federal level, and now we also have them at the state level. There are 31 states that have false claims acts that are very similar to the federal False Claims Act, and we have 8 localities that similarly have those statutes. So it's not just a federal program, but whistleblowers can help state and local governments also recoup misappropriated funds. I didn't want you just to take it from me. I thought it'd be helpful for you to see some of the statistics about how these programs have performed. So all of these programs are required to give information to Congress about how they performed year over year, which is where I'm getting this data. So I wanted to start with our most long-standing program, the False Claims Act. Justice Department has figures from 87 to 2023, and what's notable is that $52 billion has been recovered to the U.S. Treasury as a result of cases brought by whistleblowers. Those whistleblowers have received $8 billion as a financial incentive to help the government achieve those recoveries. That's a 17% of the actual total recovered, which, if you ask me, is a great return on investment for the government to pay this kind of a finder's fee to the whistleblowers for information that unlocks prosecutions that they probably wouldn't have been able to achieve without that information for types of fraud they wouldn't otherwise have known about. This is just to show you that for those False Claims Act recoveries, they tend to be for healthcare fraud or defense contractor fraud. This is just to give you a snapshot of 1 year's results. This is the 2023 figures from the Justice Department. And now I just wanted to also give you some stats for the SEC program. So this is a before and after. On the left-hand side, these are the recoveries when the SEC had a discretionary program, which meant that it was in their sole discretion whether they paid a reward to whistleblowers or not. Obviously, that was a very small amount of money. And then you flash forward to the Dodd-Frank program, which is mandatory, giving whistleblowers the safety and knowing that if they undertake the risks and the government uses their information, they will get paid. A remarkable figure of 1.9 billion paid to 397 whistleblowers. And those whistleblowers have helped the SEC impose sanctions and get recoveries of over $7 billion. So again, big return on investment. This slide shows you that over time, as the program has become more successful and well known, numbers of tips submitted have increased, leading up to this year when 18,000 tips was the figure recorded by the SEC last year. Just to give you a snapshot of 1 year, last year, $600 million was paid to 68 whistleblowers. And the largest reward of all time was paid in May of 2023 to one whistleblower to the tune of $279 million. These kinds of rewards are atypical. The average award to whistleblowers typically $5 million or less, but there are extraordinarily sized rewards like this when the whistleblowers have revealed enormous frauds. Here are the figures for the CFTC program, equally as impressive. And again, CFTC paid a $200 million award in October 2021. This one's notable because while whistleblowers' identities are protected by the SEC and CFTC, this whistleblower chose to reveal their identity, and it was the Deutsche Bank LIBOR whistleblower who exposed LIBOR manipulation, and he received a percentage of not just the fines imposed in the U.S., but also a percentage of the fines imposed by the UK's Financial Conduct Authority. Again, some graphs showing over time that the CFTC program has taken off, has received more tips and started to pay higher rewards. And then just quickly, our IRS program figures $6.9 billion in proceeds recovered by tips from whistleblowers. Those whistleblowers received $1.2 billion in rewards, and that represents 17.4% of the total. So again, pretty good return on investment for paying whistleblowers for that kind of recovery of and closing of the tax gap. Quickly, just wanted to mention that I know a lot of folks worry that whistleblower reward programs undermine internal reporting mechanisms, and wanted to show this graph that the SEC tracks data that the percentage of whistleblowers who received rewards hover around the 80% mark, that they all reported their concerns internally first. So again, showing that the whistleblower reward programs in practice have not undermined internal reporting, that whistleblowers speak up first before they go external to the SEC. It's not just Americans who use these programs. There are a number of whistleblowers outside the United States who bring information to the United States and have received tips here, have received rewards. Here's our client, Mr. Kim, from Seoul, South Korea. He worked as a quality engineer at Hyundai, brought information to the DOT about engine seizure problems, and received a reward of $24.3 million, the top of the range, that helped the DOT impose a $210 million fine. Some stats that the SEC keeps on the countries outside the United States providing most whistleblower tips. And here you can see those are the countries: Canada, UK, China, Australia, India, Germany. Those trends continued in 2022 and 2023. Just some more stats on the fact that foreign whistleblowers have been paid rewards. A shot here of me in the New York Times showing the trend that law firms have gone outside the United States, set up offices in countries like the UK, seeking to recruit these international whistleblowers to the US programs. And then wanted to also just let you know that another Commonwealth country, Canada, has actually followed the United States lead, and they themselves have a couple of whistleblower reward programs that are mandatory. One under the OSC, the Ontario Securities Commission. It's similar to the SEC program, slight variations, including that they put a cap on the amount that a whistleblower can receive at $5 million so that you don't see the larger awards that you see in the United States. And then similarly, the Canada Revenue Agency has a program similar to the IRS, but it's only for information about offshore tax evasion. Just some quick stats. The OSC doesn't have information to current yet, but for those for the years shown there, 2016 to 2022, here are some of the recoveries. Similarly, some recoveries under the OTIP program for the Canada Revenue Agency. So wanted to end by saying that if you needed any evidence, photographic of why whistleblowers are important, here to me is an extraordinary photo that I took in London showing that the CFTC in the United States doesn't just wait for whistleblower firms like myself to bring whistleblowers to them. They actually actively and entrepreneurially go out to conferences, set up trade show booths to try and attract whistleblowers. This is a picture I took in London at the FIA conference where the whistleblower office was actively recruiting whistleblowers at an industry conference. So I hope that this has been informative, and I appreciate having had the opportunity to speak with you all. And I hope you have a great conference.
Thanks for watching. If you'd like to keep up to date with all our latest research and work, sign up to our newsletter. Delivered every fortnight, it includes behind-the-scenes updates from Richard Dennis, an exclusive cartoon from Judy Horacek, details for our upcoming events and webinars, as well as explainers, graphs, and not to mention the latest cutting-edge research and analysis from the team here on the key issues that are facing Australia. Click the button on your screen to check it out.